Weilà ragazzi, ciao a tutti, benvenuti in questo nuovo video. Welcome everybody to lesson 30 in the Zero to Hero Italian Grammar series, where we have been spending the last 30 weeks, or if you've been watching this after the fact, the last 30 videos talking about Italian grammar from the most basic of concepts and gradually working our way up to the most advanced. Today, we're going to be rounding out this series with our 30th lesson on, you guessed it by the title, gender and number agreement once again. So how is it possible that in a Zero to Hero series, we started with gender and number agreement and we're going to end with it? Well, if you've been following this series up until this point, or even just taken a look at some of the videos, you've been able to see my teaching philosophy, my learning philosophy, and I'm sure you've gotten a good feel for how I view these things. And one of the things that I've always viewed about a language is that, in a way, nothing is actually simple and nothing is actually advanced. It's just all kind of there mixed in together. You can take the most so-called advanced part of Italian and make it easy, so long as you just look at things in isolation and work your way up. What makes something advanced in a language like Italian is the compounding. That's what it's really about. We're going to see an excellent example of compounding today in a few moments when we get on over to the digital whiteboard, but I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes just kind of giving us a nice little conclusion to this wonderful series. So if you wanted to know why I decided to do this series in the first place, I've been basically here on YouTube since 2011, really long time. And when I started this channel, I didn't know what it would become. 2011 was a very long time ago at the time of filming this video, 14 years ago. And so you don't really know what it's gonna be like, how long you will do it, and what you'll end up doing, you know? And so I've always just kind of gone wherever the good winds have taken me, and this is where they've brought me today. And so at this point in time, as I was reflecting when it was the new year, because we started the Zero to Hero Italian Grammar series in January, I thought, you know what? This is a great opportunity to give a little rinfrescamento, to give a nice little refresher, a nice refreshing, to the Weilà Tom channel. And also so that a student can come to the Weilà Tom channel and say, okay, I know nothing about Italian. I want to learn it. All right, I've got a 30-part series for you. Start with lesson 1, work your way up. You'll know more than enough to tackle pretty much anything in Italian. And so this is where we are. All right, so we're at lesson 30. Let's go to the whiteboard. And we've got here la concordanza avanzata. Cool, which is gender and number agreement. But with a twist, it is advanced. I'm going to shorthand, okay? So gender and number agreement advanced, or advanced gender and number agreement. So yeah, pretty cool, right? We're at lesson 30. You should feel really proud of yourself if you've been following all these lessons, even just a few. You know, I understand it depends on where you're at with your level, but if you've been watching every single one of these lessons, think about it this way. You have been a part of a real full-on Italian grammar course. These are half-hour-long lessons where we're just going right into it. You know what I mean? Think about it. It's different than when you're in a classroom and people can have time for questions, or the first 10 minutes of the class, you're kind of just shooting the breeze, you know? No, this is full-on. So you guys should be really proud of yourself. We've been having a lot of fun, doing a great job. I'm very proud of this. I'm very proud of you. And so this is a great way to round out this series. Doesn't mean we're done teaching. Doesn't mean we've covered every possible thing you could do in a Zero to Hero series, but we've done enough. We've done enough, and I think 30 lessons is good, and it's always nice to kind of move on to other stuff, you know? So that's what we're going to be doing. All right. So what do I mean by advanced gender and number agreement? It's the compounding, okay? The thing that you need to keep in mind is compounding. That is really the idea when it comes to anything that is advanced. It's piling things up. All the knowledge you have, you're bringing it together and making, it's like you're baking something. You're taking all those raw ingredients, putting it together, and making something, all right? So we're going to begin first with feminine words, okay? So we're going to do feminine. It's going to be singular. And then we're going to go to feminine plural. And we're going to be using a lot of nouns with adjectives. That's how we're going to start to see this taking shape. I'd then like to touch on the congiuntivo, and I want to do congiuntivo with direct and indirect object pronouns and then double object pronouns. That's kind of where we're going, okay? So to give you just a little idea of where we're going, we're going to start with this right here, okay? Going to start with that, and then we're going to go to congiuntivo once again, because it's always good to bring up the congiuntivo if you're doing anything advanced. We're going to do object pronouns, specifically direct object pronouns, but also double object pronouns, okay? So we're going to do all of that. Now, what are the prerequisites for this video? You could, in fact, say the whole series, but I will spare you that, okay? I will spare you. Let's talk about our prereqs, which I will have obviously listed down below, along with all of the playlists. I've now streamlined, not all, because I'm still working on it, I've got a lot of videos, but the majority of my videos on my channel have a streamlined comment section. Or, I'm sorry, description section. If you click on the description or see more, whatever it says, below any one of my videos, they're now all pretty much uniform. And what you'll find is other videos you may like, prerequisites, and then my playlists, special links like my website, my social media, all that good stuff, a little bio on Weilà Tom. So it's all streamlined. So anything that you need to know outside of the video is always going to be included there in that description box, okay? Or just go to my main channel page and you can see everything also listed there. Because I've got videos in playlists, like the 0 to Hero Italian Grammar Series playlist, where all these videos you can watch from 1 to 30. And then I have my Learn Italian videos in order playlist, where you'll find these videos mixed in, but in a different order, because that playlist has its own order, okay? And then I've got other videos too that I haven't yet put into playlists, but you know, they're all there, okay? Anyway, prereqs. So we have lesson 1, because that one I remember. Lesson 1 is the original gender and number agreement, okay? Gender and number agree. I'm just going to write. We've got that one. We have our direct object pronouns video, DOP rather. Indirect object pronouns video, double object pronouns video, object, double object pronouns. And then I would say our congiuntivo presente video. Congiuntivo presente, pretty sure that's lesson 17 in this series. Now, I also have these very same topics not in the 0 to Hero form. So if you don't feel like spending the 30 minutes if you're going to watch the whole video or just skip around, you can also watch the shorter versions. They're like 10 minutes or less. I've got those on my channel too. They're in that other playlist I was talking about, Learn Italian videos in order, okay? I think that's good. I would say that's solid for now. Yeah, that's solid. Okay, cool. So let's begin with some feminine words that, and we're going to do 3 adjectives, okay? That's the compounding, but we'll start small. Let's start small, all right? And then we'll work our way up to 3. So let's start with our examples, shall we? All right. Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we have la ragazza, right? La ragazza is a feminine singular word. It means the girl. It could also be girlfriend, okay? In Italian, it's common to say, ad esempio, ti presento la mia ragazza. So if I told you, ti presento la mia ragazza, that means, literally, I present to you my girlfriend, but it means I introduce you to my girlfriend, okay? Or let me introduce you to my girlfriend. You can also use the masculine version of this. We're focusing on feminine words right now, but just to show you the alternative, you could obviously say ti presento il mio ragazzo, okay? That's the masculine singular version. I introduce to you my boyfriend. So ragazza and ragazzo means girl and boy, respectively. All right, this word means girl. However, you can also use it in a context like this one right here to say girlfriend. So I'm going to write it like this, okay? Same thing for boy. So ragazzo can be boy as well as boyfriend. All right? Now, we do have other words for girlfriend and boyfriend, which are fidanzato and fidanzata. So la fidanzata. And then we have il fidanzato. Now, that is really the Italian way for saying fiancé, all right? Your fidanzata would be the girl, and fidanzato would be the boy. However, sometimes, when you use fidanzata or fidanzato to talk about your girlfriend or your boyfriend, someone might think you're engaged, okay? Might. So in that case, you could say ragazza, ragazzo. There are some people who say, well, I'm of a certain age, and I feel it's too juvenile for me to call the person that I'm with, but we're not married. I don't want to call them girlfriend or boyfriend. Okay, in that case, you could say partner, and you have la compagna, il compagno. I don't know why I don't like the spelling, compagno. I want to double check the spelling, so if you would bear with me for a quick moment here, we're going to look up partner, and I want the Italian version of the word. Don't give me this. Compagno. Okay, I spelled it right. Because il partner exists also in Italian, but it's more like a business partner. Il business partner. So anyway, these could be partner, all right? And one is the female, one is the male. So this is partner. It also means companion. So if you're of a certain age and you feel better saying compagna, compagno, you could do that. That's fine as well, okay? So, cool. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're going to go back to la ragazza, okay? This is where we're beginning. So, feminine singular, we've got that. Now, what happens if we use an adjective with her, right? Let's say she is a pretty girl, right? We could say la bella ragazza, right? We could say the pretty girl. But this would be a great time to do the vecchio amico complex. I love that. I always call it the vecchio amico, and we're already at 12 minutes. Mannaggia. I don't want this video to be super long. Ah! You see, that's the problem when you're teaching, right? For the student, you don't always know exactly what's coming, but for the teacher, you never have enough time. You're like, 30 minutes isn't enough. All right. Anyway, we're wasting time talking about wasting time. But we'll get into that. So this is just the pretty girl. All right? So I'm just going to say off to the side, we're going to have the vecchio amico complex. Okay? That's what I call it. Vecchio amico complex. We'll get back to that. All right? Cool. We'll get back to that. I'm going to highlight it so I remember. We'll come back. So anyway, the pretty girl. We say bella because it's referring to ragazza. Why did I think of the vecchio amico complex? Because what about if it's la ragazza bella? Let's just do it now. All right. Bella ragazza versus ragazza bella. Okay. Does it matter where you put the adjective? In sostanza, so all in all, no, but yes. What does that mean? All right, let's explain it. So, I explain this with the vecchio amico complex because that is my anchor. That's what I hold on to. That's my referent. That's what I refer to, all right? So I'm going to show you here vecchio amico versus amico vecchio. Okay. What's the difference between where you put old, if you put it first or after? So before the noun or after the noun. Okay. If you say un vecchio amico, this is your quote-unquote old friend, not old in age. This is an old pal, okay? An old buddy. Un vecchio amico is an old friend. If you have un amico vecchio, when you use the adjective after the noun, it's now modifying it, it's enhancing it, and giving it more detail. What this means here is an elderly friend. Okay? A friend that is old in age. So, when you're seeing your old pal, you're patting them on the back, I've known you for 25 years or whatever. Questo è il mio vecchio amico. Okay, let's put it into context. Let's use ti presento again. Ti presento Ti presento Rocco, un vecchio mio amico, let's say that, an old friend of mine, un mio vecchio amico, I prefer that, un mio vecchio amico, un mio vecchio amico, un mio vecchio amico, ci conosciamo da tanti anni, or ci conosciamo dall'infanzia, let's say that, ci conosciamo dall'infanzia. We know each other from our childhood. Infancia is like infancy, it means childhood. So we know each other from infancy, in other words, from our infancy. If you want to use the possessive pronoun, you can, dalla nostra. O da quando eravamo piccoli, you could also say that, from when we were small, when we were little. So anyway, ti presento Rocco, un mio vecchio amico. Ci conosciamo dall'infanzia, ci conosciamo da sempre. Let's say da sempre, I like that a little better. So ci conosciamo da sempre. We've known each other forever. Okay, we've always known each other, it can also mean, but here it's we've known each other for, since forever, is what it literally means. Okay? Un mio vecchio amico. If instead Rocco was my friend who was an elderly friend, he was much older than me, he's a senior citizen, then you would say un mio amico vecchio. You would put vecchio after. Okay? So going back, let's go back per un momento. So what is the difference between bella ragazza and ragazza bella? Sometimes with some words there's really not a big difference, okay? But we'll draw a distinction here. If we use this same concept, the vecchio amico complex, is that what I called it? Yeah, the vecchio amico complex. Using that logic, what's the difference? Okay. If vecchio amico is an old friend, a bella ragazza is the pretty girl, okay? The pretty girl. Think like a movie, right? A typical American teen movie, right? They show everybody in the cafeteria and you've got the tables, the different tables of the different groups of kids, right? The jocks, the cheerleaders, the nerds, the whatevers, okay? This is the pretty girl, la bella ragazza. If instead we have la ragazza bella, we're referring to the girl that is pretty. She's not the pretty girl. She's the girl that is pretty. Okay? I'm going to write that down. La bella ragazza, for example, let's just say you're in a small town. She's la bella ragazza del paesino. Okay? This is the pretty girl of the town, or like the town's pretty girl, something like that. Yeah, she's the pretty girl in town. I'm gonna put it that way. All right, the town's pretty girl in town. But if you have instead la ragazza bella del paesino, it essentially means the same thing, okay? But this is the girl that just so happens to be pretty, that is pretty, of the town. All right? Forgive the example, I don't love it. Vecchio amico is like 10 times better for explaining, but there you have it, okay? That's the difference. In contexts like this, it really doesn't matter, but we could draw a distinction if we so wanted. Nice. Let's move on to the real meat of today's lesson, shall we? Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I want to now say this. La ragazza che è bella, intelligente e gentile. All right? So the girl that is pretty, intelligent, and nice. What do we do when we make this plural? Neuter words in Italian are words that end in E already. They end in la lettera E, si dice in italiano. When they go plural, they go to I. They go to I in italiano. So we're going to say le ragazze che sono, we then have to change our verb as well, che sono belle. Good so far, right? Le ragazze che sono belle. Però sono anche, however, they're also intelligenti, they're intelligent, e gentili, and they're nice. Let's use some other words, okay? Let's keep this going. We're going to go from singular to plural, okay? Let's say la ragazza, amichevole. Oops, hello, not spelling that one right. Amichevole, so she's friendly. Amichevole, simpatica, which means nice, just like gentile. They're very, very similar. It could sometimes mean funny as well. But anyway, amichevole, simpatica, e sincera. All right? And sincere. Sincera, honest, sincere, takes on those meanings. Let's make it plural. Le ragazze, right? A goes to E. So far, so good, right? Le ragazze, amichevoli, simpatiche, e sincere. Okay, let's break this down for a moment, shall we? What happened? When you have a gender-neutral word like amichevole, the letter E turns to la lettera I. The letter E changes to I, okay? Amichevoli. It's gender-neutral, doesn't already end in O or A. It follows its own singular to plural only rule. That's what those do. Then simpatica turns into simpatiche con la lettera H, with the letter H, because we have to maintain that hard K sound. If there was just an E, oops, let's do this. That's che, okay? This is che. So if we have to say simpatica, the plural is simpatiche. Capito? Va bene? Okay? And then we have sincera, sincere. Nice and easy. A goes to E. So when you're speaking and you're having to say stuff like this, sometimes it can be a little challenging, right? Let me show you another word. We could say something like la casa, right? La casa è grande, rossa, è importante, right? So the house, importante. Yeah, I knew something was wrong here. Hold on, let's just rewrite that whole word. Importante. So the house is large, red, and important. Now let's make it plural. Le case sono grandi, rosse e importanti. Okay? You just have to remember these little rules. They're all coming together at once. It's not that bad, as you can see. It's not that bad. It gets a little harder when you're speaking, but it's totally doable, okay? Le case sono grandi, rosse e importanti. You got to remember to go back and forth. La casa è grande, rossa e importante. Le case sono grandi, rosse e importanti. Give this a try. See how it goes on your own. Make your own examples, okay? Focus on stuff like this. I want to show you something else that uses a masculine word. So we have something like un programma. Un programma is a masculine word, even though it ends in A, it's a borrowed word, okay? Similar to something like un tema, right? And un problema, and un sistema. You just have to memorize these. They end in A, but they're not considered masculine because they're borrowed words. In English, we have the word film that's been adopted to English. They made it masculine. Il film. Però la privacy non è maschile, è femminile. Probably because it comes from la riservatezza. La riservatezza is the Italian word for privacy. But film, you could say like la pellicola, you know, like the actual film itself, you know, the roll of film, the tape, if you will. Pellicola is feminine. So anyway, you have to then remember words like these when doing something plural, right? So if you wanted to say, for example, let's do this. Mi piace il programma importante e bello, okay? I like the program that is important and nice. Or pretty, it can mean, but nice. Now making it plural, mi piacciono, oops, gotta be an I there. Mi piacciono I programmi importanti e belli. Oh, look at that. Now everything ends in an I. Pretty cool, right? The feminine words are harder. That's why we started with those. The masculine ones tend to be a little easier, okay? Mi piacciono I programmi importanti e belli. There you go. All right? Cool. Let's throw in a little bit of double object pronouns here and congiuntivo, shall we? All right. Let's say, penso che tu mi abbia detto la verità. All right? Penso che tu mi abbia detto la verità. Che vuol dire? I think that you told me the truth. Why are we using congiuntivo? Because of our trigger phrase. Begins in the present, therefore we have to use either congiuntivo presente or passato. We've got videos on these. I'll have them linked down below as well, okay? Penso che tu mi abbia detto la verità. I'm just going to get rid of these little markings so they're not in the way. What happens if now I want to replace la verità with an object pronoun, which would be la? We can absolutely do that. But what happened here? We've got another object pronoun as well, me. So when the indirect object pronoun me comes together with what will be the direct object pronoun la, what happens? Well, if you remember our video on that, we say, penso che tu me l'abbia detta. And then we have to do gender and number agreement. All right? I'm going to show you now the plural version. What if you told me a group of something that was a feminine word, right? Like le notizie, okay? Let's take a look at that. I'm going to put it here on this next page. Penso che tu mi abbia detto le notizie, right? Okay. Let's make it now feminine plural. Penso che tu me le abbia dette. Remember that the plural direct object pronouns, in this case the double, but the third person double object pronouns in the plural do not combine onto avere. Now I'm just kind of blowing through these rules because we've got a whole set of videos dedicated to this, okay? And this is lesson 30 now, guys. We've made it to the hero status, right? It's all the compounding, all right? Penso che tu me l'abbia dette, me le abbia dette. Now, what happens when we throw in a ye, huh? You're going to say it to him or to her. Let's take a look at those. Okay. I'm going to do it, though. This is going to be fun. In the congiuntivo trapassato, okay? Or we could just do, trapassato. Let's do that. So, pensavo, we're going to do it in the masculine. Pensavo che tu gli avessi detto il segreto, okay? So I thought that you had told him the secret. Pensavo che tu gli avessi detto il segreto. Okay. Let's now put this together. Remember the gender and number agreement and the rules for object pronouns and double object pronouns. Pensavo che tu gliel'avessi, there we go, gliel'avessi detto. Pensavo che tu gliel'avessi detto. Why? Il segreto turns into lo. When ye is met with lo, we get glielo, but when glielo comes next to any form of avere, it becomes gliel'aver. Gliel'aver. Or gliel'avere. All right? This is not conjugated. Nothing's conjugated here. Now it is. Pensavo che tu gli avessi detto. Pensavo che tu gliel'avessi detto. Ecco, sì, I had it right the first time. Pensavo che tu gliel'avessi detto. I usually say it like that, not trying to show off. It's just that's the way that we speak it, okay? Pensavo che tu gliel'avessi detto. Let's now do a feminine version, okay? Pensavo. Well, let's do the masculine plural. Pensavo che tu gli avessi detto I segreti, okay? I segreti. Also to remember here, it's I segreti because it's S with a vowel, not S with a consonant. Then that would be yi, okay? Remember that. So I thought you told them the secrets. Now putting it all together, pensavo che tu glieli, because the third person plurals do not combine, glieli avessi detti. Take a look at that beast right there. Pensavo che tu gliel'avessi detti. Cool. Very cool. Very cool. This is pretty much it. Should we try to do a long one to wrap it up and call it a day with a longer one? Let's see if I can come up with anything now, but this is the whole point of today's lesson. I know we didn't beat to a pulp all of these examples, but that's because we've already gone over this stuff. We're just compounding. Let's see what we could do. Let's throw in some stuff from the beginning with la ragazza. All right, let's see what we could do. Let me see what comes to mind, okay? So, questa è la mia ragazza. Questa è la mia ragazza. Lei è molto brava. È molto brava e intelligente. Ok? Intelligente with two L's. Lei è molto brava e intelligente. Penso che lei ti abbia mostrato le foto che ha preso o che ha fatto, sì, non so che ha fatto durante il suo ultimo viaggio in Italia. Ok, what can we do with this? So, questa è la mia ragazza, lei è molto brava e intelligente. Penso che lei ti abbia mostrato le foto che ha fatto durante il suo ultimo viaggio in Italia. Ok. Now let's kind of backtrack and see how we can continue this. So this is my girlfriend. She's very brava, so she's very good. She's a very good person. She's very skilled and intelligent. I think that she showed you the photos that she took during her last trip to Italy. Okay, and now we can say this. È vero, as like a response. È una ragazza brava, amichevole e intelligente. Ok? Non come, oh, here we go, certe persone, che conosco, look what's coming, che conosco, che sono freddi, distanti, there we go, distanti, e let's say freddi, distanti e poco, yeah, we'll say that, e poco simpatiche. Okay, let's begin with this. This means, it's true. We don't want to erase. This means it's true. She's a very nice girl. And notice how I said, è una ragazza brava. I put brava after because she is a girl that happens to be brava. See? I'm not calling her the brava girl. I'm calling her the girl that happens to be brava. È una ragazza brava, amichevole, friendly, e intelligente, and intelligent. Not like certain people that I know that are cold, distant, and not so kind, not so funny, not so sympathetic, or yeah, not very much. Poco is like a little and slightly sympathetic, slightly nice, and little nice. I don't know how we would say that directly in English. But what do I have to know as I'm going through this? I have to remember ragazza brava, hope you can see the underlining. Amichevole has to end in an e. Intelligente, same thing here. Non come certe persone che conosco che sono freddi, because it's plural. Oh no, fredde. Che sono fredde. There we go. Distanti e poco simpatiche. Yeah, because it has to be feminine plural. See what happens? Okay, look what happened to me. As I'm just casually going through Italian, right? I'm used to saying freddo, and so the plural in my mind is freddi, but it's not gender neutral. It can become fredda and fredde. See? This is why it's advanced. Compounding, okay? And remembering things, thinking on your feet, stuff like that, okay? Wow. Cool. And let's just end it with a nice little congiuntivo and double object pronouns, okay? I know we're going a little longer than 30 minutes, but that's because I was talking in the beginning. Anyway, so let's also do credo che lei abbia mostrato le foto, because remember it's le fotografie. It's just an abbreviation here. Le foto anche a voi, vero? Sì, mi ricordo. Lei? No, that's fine. Ve le ha già mostrate. There you go. Yeah. Sì, mi ricordo. Ve le ha già mostrate. Okay. So this means I think that she showed the photos also to you all, right? Yes, I remember, like as I'm thinking about it. To you all, the photos she has already shown. Ve le ha già mostrate. Look at that beaut. That is beautiful. Yeah, because ve le ha mostrate is to you all, she has shown the photos. And then I'm including a little già here actually. Ve le ha già, because these kind of words like to go in between the past participle and its helping verb. Mostrate. Wow. Che bella cosa, ragazzi. That is advanced gender and number agreement, my friends. That's advanced gender number agreement. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so this is probably one of those kinds of lessons that you're going to have to go back and watch a couple times. Good news is the real meat of the video came in like way towards the end. I think it was like at the 19th minute when I checked. So it's not really that much time at the end of it, at the end of the day. But yeah, that is going to be it for now. I think that's going to be the end of the Zero to Hero Italian Grammar series. We will add new videos in the future using the whiteboard and maybe not, you know. We've still got tons of stuff to cover, and we need to go over the stuff we've already gone over. But now I will at least feel good that I can tell everybody, hey, go check out that video linked. I've already covered it to give you foundation. Pretty sweet, guys. Pretty sweet. All right, so a massive, massive thank you, un grandissimo messaggio di ringraziamento a tutti voi. Thank you guys very, very much. Very, very much for having tuned in and checked out week after week, lesson after lesson, all 30 of the videos in the Zero to Hero Italian Grammar series. This has been a blast. It's been so, so cool. As I say often in my videos, I haven't said it all the time, but I have been saying it more recently. I give lessons just like this. They are tons of fun. Live every week on Zoom. I've been doing it for the last 3 years. I hope to keep going as long as possible. So on Zoom, if you want to learn more about my lessons, it's always in the top line of the description of all my videos. As I said, all my videos now have a nice streamlined description box. You can also find out more just by visiting my website, weilatom.com. Check out my Instagram. I also post updates there. And yeah, I'd be more than happy to have you guys join us in our conversation and grammar lessons. Cool, guys. So always remember to spread the love. I will most certainly be seeing you guys in another video or in a lesson on Zoom sometime soon. And that is it. This has been the Zero to Hero Italian Grammar series, where we have looked at Italian grammar over the course of 30 weeks, 30 lessons, each around 30 minutes apiece, going from the most basic to the most advanced of topics. You are now a hero in Italian. Fantastico, ragazzi. Alla prossima. Ciao ciao, ragazzi. Ciao.